I think just last week, like a large-scale experiment has started introducing circles in Bali, and Shonda has been temporarily moving from Bali to Lisbon, and today she's going to talk about how this is currently running and what Circles Bali is about.
Thank you, Stefan. Hello, beautiful people. My name is Shonda Brown, and I am the CEO of Circles Indonesia. And as we just discussed, I'm from the United States and live in Bali now. And I'm so excited to be here in Lisbon with you because of such an exciting time that we're having for Circles Indonesia, with just having launched 2 weeks ago and started onboarding or doing our product testing with our 1500 participants. So before I get started, who is familiar with the concept of circles or heard about it before? I got my Gnosis people here. Okay, well, I will be talking to you about what Circles is, how it works a little bit. There's so much that I'm passionate about sharing with you, but I'd like to focus on what we're actually doing in Bali and how we're implementing this and what sort of results we'd like to see. Okay, so first of all, what is Circles? So Circles is an application on the Gnosis chain that aims to distribute a fair global resource based on the principle of universal basic income. That's UBI, and that circulates through mutual trust. We can talk about trust so much and how this actually works, but the vision of what we want to actually achieve is having all people everywhere, regardless of background, achieve their most fulfilling and joyful lives. And not having to worry about the finances of those daily income. So we're doing that by establishing an additional complementary cashless currency that can support and empower people to receive 24 circles per day. So these circles tokens that are receiving 1 per hour to be able to exchange for goods and services to help them meet their daily needs and be able to live the lives that they really want. And so it's an equal amount, providing these resources to everyone and empowering those opportunities. So why UBI on the blockchain? So as Stefan just mentioned, there's been a resurgence of UBI for redistributing this wealth. Sam Altman's WorldCoin is one example, specifically because AI is creating job and income insecurity for countless people around the world, as I'm sure you're all very well aware. So blockchain has emerged as this tech solution, and the convergence of these points positions UBI and the blockchain as a really relevant and important solution. So Circles aims to help put wealth in the hands of those who need it most. Specifically, Circles Indonesia is focusing on our target market in developing countries, and we want to use a transparent, decentralized, community trust-based system. But what really matters are the people that we're impacting. So you can see the faces of the individuals that we're working with here. This is from yesterday in the markets in Bali, where it's currently being utilized, where individuals are buying food for their families at the markets and the merchants that are accepting Circles for their goods. And here's me buying my first mangosteen with Circles. It was a delicious mangosteen. And yeah, so really, really matters with the people that we're impacting. Oh, now it works. So the Circles Indonesia network, this is our amazing team. These individuals here in the black t-shirts that are based in Bali. This is at our product testing event back in May. But we have such an incredible team that we work with to be able to make this dream a reality right now. Big shout out to Gnosis, our tech developer team. We actually call them Noki. So combination of Circles and Gnosis. But they have been developing this product for the past, well, it's been years since we've been focusing on this, but we have great partnerships that have helped us excel the timeline of Circles by years. And that's particularly due to Alam Santi, who are implementation partners that have that social capital that has really been able to go into these villages, some of these remote villages that are hours and hours away, and be able to talk to the village leaders and be able to say, hey, we have this solution for you to have a universal basic income. Are you interested in trying it out? let's train you, get some local champions, and it's been pretty incredible. We also partner with IndoBig Network, the Indonesian Basic Income Guarantee Network. We have a great team of advisors at the UBI Lab, Kalamajari. There we go. So one thing that I want to distinguish is the difference between the different Circles projects that are going on in the world. So you might be familiar with Circles Co-op. So they're based in Berlin and they run the flagship pilot, and they were instrumental in helping us to learn about Circles and understand this when they launched in 2020. But it's a completely separate entity. We're based on the same technology in the white paper that Martin Kopelman wrote, but we are implementing it in very different ways. So the Circles still interact with one another, but they have a different product. We've tailored our product to our target market and the needs of the developing countries such as Bali and Indonesia. We also have a self-sustaining program. So there's no subsidy program. So vendors are signing up because they truly want to. They want to have a basic income, be able to accept Circles for their goods and services. And our vision is to be a coordination hub for the global expansion in developing countries. So why Bali? First of all, the social structure of bond jars and the financial system of debt synergize with the decentralized trust system. So in Bali, there are bond jars, which are social structures that have this established trust already established between individuals. So implementing something such as Circles is very synergistic with those communities. It's a very different concept than that of Europe. And so we're proving that to really remove those barriers of mass adoption. So the location where UBI can actually have a life-altering impact is really focused on Bali, in our opinion. So for example, one circle is worth one banana. So it's a totally different landscape also. The legal landscape, we aren't able to put this in actual currency of rupiah. So we're using bananas as a currency to stake that. So the daily value is about 27% of minimum wage. So we have done so much in Bali over the past 2 years to prepare for this moment that is happening right now. As of 2 weeks ago, we're live in the field. In 2021, we did our first research report where we actually went out to the fields and have this be for the people, by the people, and ask people what they want to see, and what would be advantageous for them to actually use to help meet their daily needs. We decided to move forward with this after we discovered that 97% of individuals would like to be able to use Circles. So we went ahead with our legal strategy. We have research permits, which we were told would never be able to be possible. We work magic. It's kind of amazing to actually see this dream come true. So we have a whole public relations strategy for how to interact with these communities, advisors, have a global mission, product development, but our main focus is that product development and testing. So we're designing the product, we're testing it, and we're actually implementing it in the field. So here's the exciting part. This is what the web app actually looks like. So you can see this beautiful Balinese woman who's asking you to support your community with a universal basic income that helps meet daily needs. And on your home screen, you have your profile, which has your QR code that you scan to be able to trust people. So in order to exchange Circles with someone, either to receive or send, you need to be able to trust them. And so you have all your contacts, your bond jar, and you can see what your Circles balance is, as well as the marketplace. So this marketplace, you can see, this is an actual screenshot of markets that are on there, that there's a warung that sells food, transportation, barber services. And so it's pretty cool to be able to have this geolocation. So wherever you are in Bali, you can find a place that you can say, I want to get food and I want to spend my Circles. And so you can use this app to be able to find that very easily, because that's what's important about developing an economy, is really being able to ensure these users can spend their Circles wherever they want to. Our website is pretty impressive as far as what we're offering on here. One thing that'll feature is the educational outreach materials. So we've been able to create all of this stuff for users to be able to implement this on their own and in those communities. So we have field officers that we're training and being able to give these resources, and they're all downloadable on our website. So what I would really like to focus on is the implementation strategy. As I've told you, we've already done the market research. We finished this product design and development. It's definitely MVP status, but it's working in the field, and I'm really excited to share the results with you. So in the field, we're working with 1,500 participants right now in this research permit to see what actually works in the field, like what happens when we put this out there and it comes back. We have the crypto economics experts that are saying this is what should happen, but now is the real time to see what's really going on. So we have field officers that we've recruited and trained, participants that are being onboarded right now as of 2 weeks ago, and we have our market simulation coming up next month. So these are real reports that we're seeing that are pretty incredible to see that it's actually working with this ecosystem. So here you can see we have food and beverage distributors, tools and equipment, groceries, utilities, ceremony supplies, which are a really big thing in Bali. Like a huge amount of your disposable income goes to ceremony supplies. Garden and farm products, and here, like these are all the shops that you can search and find out where can I get dental supplies? Where can I go get coffee, fix my electronics? Where can I get ceremony goods? So part of this is the real-time reports and dashboards that help us respond quickly during their implementation phase and actually inform scale. So proud to announce that this morning we have 485 users and 441 shops. So that shows that we have the users that are actually accepting this universal basic income, that are actually putting their value into that and being able to say, I'm willing to accept circles for my goods and services. So we have all sorts of reports and seeing that it's pretty based with male and female, and you can see the growth over time, which is pretty exciting to see. Here's some of these. I mean, I think these are beautiful. I want to frame these on my wall because this is exactly what we want to be seeing with the trust connections. You can see that it's a whole web of trust, which is what we're based off of, and the payments graph. And when you overlay them on top of each other, you can see that those payments and those trust connections really overlap, which is really beautiful to see that this is happening. Even though it's just been 14 days of being live in the field, it's still pretty amazing. So our global vision, like right now, we're focusing on implementation. We want to see this actually works. We're testing the concept. We're also testing the MVP product. So there's a lot of components that go into that. Some of the feedback that we're hearing in the field is like, this is the revolution. This is amazing. I'm so grateful this is actually helping me and my family and my community to meet my basic needs. And there's some communities that aren't as excited about that technology. And so we're learning a lot from each of these communities and implementing this. So our vision is to build a global network of community organizers through the Global Grant Strategy Program. So the vision for Circles ID is to empower Circles hubs around the world. Our first target is those micro entrepreneurs in top 22 developing countries. So that's a total addressable market of 366 million individuals. Also, those facing job disparity, particularly from AI, that's a total addressable market of 177 million. We also want to expand across Indonesia and develop and launch a downloadable Circles app. So if you'd like to learn more, we're staying pretty quiet right now because it's still in beta. We're only inviting people with a unique invite code, so they're part of that test group of those 1,500 individuals. But if you'd like to learn more, please email me at shonda@circlesbali.org or go to contact us on our website or WhatsApp. And if you are coming to Bali, I would love to encourage you to reach out and I'll send you an invite and we can go get a nasi campur. So thank you very much for your support. Huge thanks to Gnosis DAO.
Hi, very, very neat project. My question is, as you work in the development field, so you're very well aware that there is a huge gender gap in technology, especially in the access of simply having a mobile phone. well, you're talking about Mali, but if you think about countries at war, especially in sub-Saharan countries, the women are usually the family provider, but they don't have a phone. So how have you thought about that, and what's your strategy?
Thank you. That was actually my thesis in econometrics in college. So great question. That is why that's another reason that we chose Bali as one of our projects that we're working on, is that 99% of individuals do have phones. They're older smartphones, depending on what region that you're in, but a high percentage of people are able to actually use this app. Currently, we don't have a way to engage people if they don't have a way to make mobile payments, because it is a face-to-face transaction. So we're looking at different solutions, but that's why we really want to empower the different communities that are based in those areas with that global strategy program, and work with teams that are familiar with the culture and then the market that we're looking to target, to find out what those kind of solutions are for that market. Great question, though.
And how did you find shops accepting circles?
Great question, because as you know, that's one of the biggest aspects that is part of a thriving ecosystem. And so that was one of the slides that I actually deleted because there's so much information that I'm passionate about sharing. But the big part is the social capital that our teams have, that are actually in the fields, that are working together and are going up to their communities and saying, this is a new project. It's an initiative that can help you to meet your basic needs. In order to do that, this entire community is saying that we're putting the value behind this circle token that we're each minting. And so you are supporting not only yourself with getting this basic income, but also supporting your community, your bond jar, or that social system, to be able to accept circles. They're also being marketed on the marketplace and can increase sales that way. But it's basically being able to support that community and that with that web of trust. Yeah, and so far it's been great. As you can see from the numbers, it seems like majority of people are actually starting to use circles. So excited to give more updates in the next few months.
So how are you making sure that individuals are not getting like more than one account? And how are you actually minting the circles to give them out? How does this work?
So that's where the trust comes in, of being able to only exchange with people that you trust. So by trusting someone, you're saying, I accept your individual circles token that you are minting yourself. So you as Joie have Joie tokens that you mint with circles. I as Shonda have Shonda circles tokens that I mint. And so when we trust each other, I'm saying I put value on your tokens and I will accept your tokens as valuable. And so if there's a duplicate account, that account could receive this basic income and they could potentially spend it to someone that trusts them, but it wouldn't have value unless they had an entire network that you could actually exchange those circles within one another. And so there could be civil attacks, but those would be limited to that environment. And that's why the aspect of trust is so important, of being able to only interact with people that you have a relationship with, and not, that's why exactly the bond jar system in Bali would be perfect for testing out this concept and seeing how that actually works in the field.
Why do vendors accept the token, and what do they do with the token when they accept it?
Great question. And that's why we are looking at building this ecosystem of vendors. So with this ecosystem with everyone that has this entire aspect and outlet that they can spend their circles, that each of these suppliers or vendors would be able to buy their goods and services from other vendors and create this circular economy. So the supplies that they would need, we've actually had these conversations with people in the field that have said, I sell Coca-Cola, I can't buy more Coca-Cola with circles, so I'm gonna go to a more local-based economy, which is exactly what we wanna see. We wanna see a more localized economy, because specifically in Bali during the pandemic, 80% of income crashed with the pandemic because it's based on tourism. And so supporting that localized economy where you can have that circular, locally based economy where you're supporting each of your friends, your colleagues, your family members within this bond jar would be able to really supply those basic needs. That's why ceremony supplies, this is about a huge percentage of a Balinese average income goes to ceremony supplies. So everyone would be able to at least buy their ceremony supplies with their circles and make them useful to them.
Do you receive any requests from the vendors to cash the tokens they receive? And if not, how do they afford the goods they sell?
That is actually one of the biggest differences between Circles Co-op and Circles Indonesia and the different approaches that we're using in the market is that Circles Co-op, for example, does do a subsidy program where they have a select number of vendors that they want to support, where they say, okay, we'll give you euros for your circles to be able to subsidize you being able to accept circles if you can't use your circles to buy the supplies that you need, such as Coca-Cola, as one of the vendors told us last week. Which we're very aware of. But what we really want to see in Bali is a self-sustaining system that doesn't need a subsidy program, so this can really remove that mass adoption so that it can be expanded everywhere if this is tested to be fruitful. And so we don't offer a subsidy program for Bali. And in fact, it's actually illegal to be able to exchange crypto for goods and services in Indonesia currently. The landscape is changing all the time. So we have been learning as we go, which is why nowhere in here have I said the word money or currency or crypto. And that's why we have a very different approach. But we have amazing partnerships that have been able to allow us to operate in Bali with not having things like a subsidy program. So that's a great question also. As far as accepting circles, there can be a partial payment for things like Coca-Cola that you can't buy and stock up with circles. And what we're testing out the theory of the circular economy is that individuals would be able to buy localized services or goods and services with their circles and then have any of that rupiah and cash-based currency fiat system to be able to buy goods that are globally imported. So really it's about the localized economy.
Have you had any contact or feedback from government agencies or regulatory? And have you had to jump through any hurdles that might have given you?
What are you doing the next hour? Actually, some of our partners are government officials who really do believe in what we're doing and want to see basic income in Indonesia, that believe in our program and we've really aligned our mission with their goals. So we have government agencies that want to see it successful. And as I've learned in Bali of living there over the past few years, it's based on those relationships and that there's a lot of gray areas that we can operate in. And so we've had feedback that not to use words such as money, currency, and I have very list of protocols to go through. And so that's why we've written our own white paper that removes the word cryptocurrency from this. And we aren't exchanging circles for different currencies. And that's why it's been so accepted by the Indonesian government. And at this point, we'll see more in the next few months. Hope that it will be successful and can expand across all of Indonesia.
You did say pay. Was that a slip of the tongue? Did you use another term?
Exchange. I should have said exchange. Yes. Good catch.
And you don't have plans to list your token on any exchange?
Not at this time. Our lawyers tell us that landscape is changing quickly and that we may be able to in the future, but at this time, we're just looking to test the product and the concept before listing it. And that's what the Global Strategy Outreach Program would also do with those grants, is to work in other areas that don't have those same limitations of the legal constraints, so that we could test out things such as listing circles.
Then how do people value circles right now? How do they come up with a price in circles? So when I buy that ceremony supplies, what's the price in circles? How do they arrive at it?
So one banana, exactly. Someone was listening. So we have a suggested value of what a circle's point is worth, is what we call them, and that's the equivalent of 1,000 rupiah. So that's really easy for transactions. But we're not saying you have to list it at this amount. We're letting the community decide on what that value is. So if they decide that, my dental care is more valuable and I only want to accept, 50% of circles for this because I have supplies that I need to buy globally, they're able to negotiate and barter, which is how Balinese have always done it. And the feedback that we're getting from the field right now is that this is amazing. This is getting back to our roots. This is how we used to transact without using a fiat-based rupiah system. And so we're so grateful to be able to use this again, which is pretty cool to see happen in the market. So if you do want to test this out, I'm happy to share with you an invite code. You won't be included in the 1,500 participants as far as that research goes. We have entire different stats and data for that, but it's really fun to check it out. And if you want to just play around and experiment. So thank you.